All right, Storm. I'm extremely excited to have this conversation. We
Same
know
here.
how extremely talented you are. Just the stage and platform that you have that you've worked so hard to build, and I know you're just getting started. Of the impact that you're going to have, not just for yourself, but for many, many in the next generation. So I want to kind of talk to you and maybe give us some good tidbits of advice for me as a dad of two beautiful girls, but mostly for everybody who's watching this conversation to know they have the ability to own who they are, and to impact not their communities around them, and based on just your experience, like I'll start with, where do you find your strong sense of self? I think people who follow you on social media know that you love to have fun. I think you know what kind of personality you have, and you love to share that. But where does that strong sense of self come from? Because I don't think it comes naturally to a lot of people.
Right. Well, thank you for all those kind words. I'll say that first. But also, I think my personality and my strong sense of self comes from my support system, and specifically my mom and my dad just instilling in me that, one, I could do anything that I put my mind to, and then two, that I was good enough to do anything that I wanted to do. And I know as young girls get older, that becomes hard. Society wants you to conform to certain things. So it does take a lot of self-realization and like sitting myself down and saying, Storm, you can do this and you are capable of achieving your dreams, and not only empowering yourself, but empowering young girls, like you said. But I think it really did start at home, and I'm so thankful for that, and thankful for the talks and the conversations and the constant communication that I have with my parents.
No doubt. I know we're both blessed, obviously, with parents, like you said, that speak life and confidence into us. But for people, who may not have two parents living at home, or may have a different type of community
Exactly.
that they really lean into, how would you describe the way that you nurture, your friendships, and that support system? Because it takes work, right, in terms of, leaning into those relationships, being open, being vulnerable. How do you kind of pick those people outside of your family? And how do you nurture those friendships, obviously at your age?
Yeah, I mean, they say it takes a village, right? And it
Yeah.
really has. So outside of my family, and I would say even outside of my loved ones and my friends, I think through what I do for a living, I guess I would say, I have cultivated relationships like Miss Ava, like Miss Oprah, like Miss Reese, like Miss Mindy, like my friends Yara Shahidi. Like, these are all people who like pour into me and empower me, and I try to do the same with them. So I really value their opinions and their advice, and I try to stay connected, whether we're talking about things that are going on in Hollywood, or we're just talking about real life, about how we feel, how things are going, just checking up on people. So it could just be a two-way street. I don't want anyone to feel like that I'm taking advice, or I'm taking all the stuff that they're pouring into me, but I'm also not reciprocating it, and I'm not grateful. So I hope that answers your question. I think just staying in constant communication with my peers as well, and my elders, that really helped me.
No doubt. Kind of following up on that idea, right? I think there's a common expectation around perfection, and knowing that you're front and center on social media, and you have a huge, fan base and people that look to you for that inspiration. How do you balance that? I call most people, progress over perfection. Do you ever feel like the pressure to be perfect, to not show your flaws? Like, how do you address that, knowing that the world is kind of watching every move that you make?
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, I don't feel the pressure of being perfect. I think that goes back to my parents, like saying, yes, you could do anything that you want to do, but you still have to practice and you'll never be perfect. I feel like they just kept it real with me, which I appreciate. But I do feel the pressure of being a role model. So I never want to make a mistake. I always want to choose the right like the projects that I choose to be a part of, or the collaborations I do, because I never want anyone, especially young girls, to look at me in the wrong light, because we do need inspiration in this time. I think in this day and age, we do need a lot of light and hope. And I want to be that for young girls. But also I not only tell them like through my initiative, Be Amazing, but I also have to tell myself, can you still see me?
Yeah, we're all good.
Okay. I also tell myself that I am perfectly imperfect and I will never be perfect. And as long as I accept my flaws and incorporate that with all the good stuff that I have going on, then that's what makes me me.
No doubt. It's, you said, speaking like the pressure of being a role model. I know a lot of people, with platforms may feel like that. Do you ever feel like it's surreal in a sense of the impact that you can have, or do you feel like you're doing anything like out of the ordinary with how you live your life? Because I know that can kind of be overwhelming at times, how people may react to something that you say,
Right.
how it may change their life. I know some of it could double down and continue to inspire you to keep doing what you're doing. But do you ever feel like it's surreal, or like that you're in this position? How do you handle that?
Yeah, I mean it is surreal. I think it switched for me when A Wrinkle in Time came out, and just tons of young girls were either like commenting on my social media, DMing me, or even coming up to me in public saying, "Thank you for allowing me to see myself save the world." And that's when the switch went off. I was like, okay, my career is bigger than myself, which is a little scary to
Mm-hmm.
think about. But it is surreal, but I love it, and it's a blessing. And that's why I strive to just be a part of good things and choose projects very carefully, because I know that there are young people watching, and they do look to me for inspiration. And I know how that feels, because I look to people for inspiration, like Zendaya. I basically have bowed down to her for a very long time. But she's been very selective, and she tries not to say the wrong things, and she tries not to do the wrong things, but she's also a young woman growing up, so she's not going to be perfect.
No doubt. And I guess along with that, speaking of social media, because unfortunately, when I was growing up, it was not that prevalent. I'm not dating myself, but it's kind of crazy just in terms of, in the last 10, 15 years, how much that has been ingrained into young people's experience, and how the world has kind of shrunk, and how much news is being shared at the tip of their fingertips. And like, how do you deal with the noise, right? Because not all of it's positive. Not all of it's Storm's just the best and this and that. Like that's the majority of it. But there are people and trolls and all that type of stuff that everybody has to deal with on a daily basis when they put themselves out there. How do you deal with those type of people that may not be judging you on the right merits, and you kind of want to defend yourself in those moments? Like how do you handle those situations?
Yeah, and I mean, I tried to ignore it. There, like you said, there are some people out there that are just not nice, and they're trying to ruin my day.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I could just brush it off, but there are some things that people say that really get to me and get in my head. But that's when I have to go back to my self-love and my confidence, not even the advice that my parents have given me, just the work that I have done to try to be a great person. And I think that also intersects with my faith, which my parents instilled in me. But just know, like, I try to tell myself, you're doing something that is amazing. You're trying to be impactful. You're living out your dreams. So whoever this person is who's saying these mean things, maybe they have something going on. Maybe they're not doing what they want to do in life. I'm going to pray for you, but I'm also not about to go back and forth with you, because I'm good over here. I'm great.
Absolutely. Uh,
Yeah.
and as we know the impact when that Kobe's passing had, and how much that girl dad became, such a viral thing, and people really stepping into that role and understanding the importance as a father
Mhm.
that interaction and relationship you have with your daughter can set her off to do amazing things, like you just said. What advice, would you have for? I know my girls are probably going to be watching this. What advice would you have for an 8-year-old, 5-year-old girl, even a black girl who's coming up in this society that has an impact to be the part of the generation of change? Like, what would you tell that kid? And that's some piece of advice that's kind of set you on your way that you really rely on.
Yeah, I would say just be unapologetically yourself. Be unapologetically yourself. It took me a minute to be able to be comfortable with like speaking out or using my voice, but just know that there are people in the world that are going to lean on you, that want to hear what you're saying. You might not say all the right things, but I think it's important for young people and specifically young girls to use their voices early, and to just really voice their opinion, whether that's about not eating vegetables for dinner or things that are going on in the world right now. I think just exercising your power of saying yes and exercising your power of saying no is very, very important, especially to young women. And just know that there are people like me that are rooting for you and watching you, and hopefully the work that we do inspires you and guides you, and we know that you'll do amazing things.
That's going to go a long way to building confidence. And I appreciate, how you use your platform. You are the template for having faith and understanding that with, great opportunity comes great responsibility, and stepping into that. I know it's no easy feeling a day to day. I'm going to encourage you to keep doing it. Being you, keep being amazing. And I will see you down the road. Thank you for the time, and hopefully people and a lot of girls will take something from this.
Yes, no, thank you so much.
Appreciate you.